What's up, everybody? Today's video is how Mainz went from relegation to Champions League in 1 year. My name is Greg, an American living abroad in Spain, learning the beautiful game of football one reaction video at a time with your help. All right, I'm kind of excited about this one here today because this is football meta. I did a poll asking people for recommendations on good channels to watch, and this one is really good from what I've seen so far. It's my first time watching a video of his, so I will definitely include a link in the description so you can go and show him some love. And let me get this set up for you so it can look all pretty and everything. All right, well, here we go. Let's see what we can see.
Bo Henriksen was appointed to help save Mainz from relegation, but just 1 year later and he's transformed them into one of the toughest teams in the Bundesliga, storming up the table and into a battle no one expected them to be in. He's achieved this by giving Mainz a clear identity, with the whole team working as a unit both in defense and attack. And
I love this about this channel. This is awesome. Let's see what we got here.
There's a very subtle trick he uses to outsmart his opponents. So what exactly has he done to turn Mainz into a team fighting for Champions League qualification? And could he be following in the footsteps of other successful Mainz coaches? Let's take a look. Welcome back to Football Meta. Mainz might not be the first team that comes to mind when thinking of world-class coaches, but both Jurgen Klopp and Thomas Tuchel made their name here before moving on to European giants. So could Henriksen be the next manager to follow suit? To answer this question, we need to take a look at what Henriksen is actually doing on the pitch, and it's safe to say he has his own very clear ideas of how football should be played, with a heavy focus on mentality and not forcing the players to overthink every situation. The core driving force of this team is certainly their defensive aggression and working together.
I love this. I used to coach basketball, and I remember going to a basketball clinic some years ago when Mike Krzyzewski was still coaching Duke basketball, and all the coaches came out and did a clinic with one of the local university teams. And he was the last one because I think it was the year after they won a championship or something. And I just remember his idea was behind offense was not to teach an offense, but to teach offense so they can think for themselves when they're out there. So it sounds like that's exactly what he's saying here. So I think this is going to be pretty cool.
As a unit, crowding the opponents high up the pitch before switching to a well-drilled low block. But their attack is also not to be underestimated. So let's start this analysis by taking a look at the simple but effective way Henriksen wants to create his chances. Mainz deploy a 3-4-2-1 formation, with aggressive wingbacks and an extremely dynamic box midfield, willing to get forward and join the attack.
Okay. Got it.
And an extremely dynamic box midfield, willing to get forward and join the attack. Contrary to other teams at the top of the Bundesliga table, Henriksen is not all about possession and controlling the game with the ball, but is much more focused on creating chances quickly, with a lot of forward passes and vertical runs into the box. In fact, build-up is not a core component of his philosophy, with the goalkeeper going along about 60% of the time. And after 4 passes, they found themselves the majority of the time already in the opposition's half.
Okay.
Compare this to a
4-pass location. Okay.
team like Bayern Munich, and after the same amount of passes, they still find themselves in their defensive third, looking to build their attack in a structured way. This works for Mainz thanks mostly to the physical target man Burkhardt, able to hold up play and knock it down between the lines, for the 2 inside forwards and...
So I think what I hear him saying here, and I know sometimes people tell me that I shouldn't be looking at this stuff because it's too advanced. I need to learn the teams and everything. But when I watch sports that I've played and that I have an interest in, I like to know, like, you might think it's weird, but I'll be watching a NBA game or college game and I'll rewind it several times because I want to see, like, where did they come off the screen, or, you know, what happened here, what happened there. So I kind of like this stuff. So although a lot of it is kind of a foreign language right now, I just want to keep watching and keep trying to figure it out. But what I think he's saying right here is that by the time they get to their 4th pass, these numbers represent the location that they are in their 4th pass. And he's saying that for them,
found themselves the majority of the time already in the opposition's half. Compare this to a team
pass
like Bayern
location.
Munich, and after the same amount of passes, they still find themselves in their defensive third.
Got it. So he's saying that they're further up the field by the time they get to their fourth pass. I think that's what he's saying.
Looking to build their attack in a structured way. This works for Mainz thanks mostly to the physical target man Burkhardt, able to hold up play and knock it down between the lines, for the two inside forwards and holding midfielders instantly in support. Take for example their opening goal against Mönchengladbach. The keeper goes long into the striker, with Mainz occupying the space between the lines, ready for the second ball, gaining control high up the pitch. From here, they break forward quickly and attack the box with the two inside forwards, striker, holding midfielders, and wingback.
Oh, wow.
This ability to break forward from long balls does mean they can create their chances quickly while the opposition is still stretched out. But most of their attacks will start from a more structured position. With the keeper in possession, they switch to a back four, with the right centre-back pushing out wide as the... With the keeper in possession, they switch to a back four, with the right centre-back pushing...
Let's see that one more time. Because right now they're the back three. So...
With the keeper in possession, they switch to a back four, with the right centre-back pushing out wide as the fullback, and the wing-back Cassie pushing up on the defensive line. From this position, Mainz don't waste time and will very frequently circulate possession into this position out wide and look for a ball into Cassie where he has support from the striker and inside forward in the channels, which is reflected in the pass map we saw earlier. Sometimes from this position, they may look to go a bit more centrally or play the ball into the feet, but the whole team is aware of this overload on the right flank, so they can comfortably get numbers into this position and start their attack. But if this more direct approach isn't successful, then there are still some really intricate ways they look to attack the box. Their offensive shape is a mixture of fixed positional players and more fluid movement in the centre. Whilst the wingbacks and the striker are used to anchor the defensive line in place, the fluid movement of the two holding midfielders, Sano and Amiri, along with the inside forwards, Nebel and Lee, means different patterns and combinations can emerge. The two holding midfielders are mostly what allow the team to rotate in attack. Whilst they start in a line during build-up, they will alternate their movements consistently. By looking at Mainz's progress...
So they keep the same spacing relative to each other, which is cool. So it's just no matter where they go, they keep the same amount of spacing.
Line during build-up, they will alternate their movements consistently. By looking at Mainz's progressive actions this season, we can see how Amiri is responsible for the majority of the team's progression from the middle. For example,
progressive actions, dribbles and carries. Okay. Oh, okay. So Amiri has the most dribbles and high up on the carries, the most total.
For example, it's common to see Amiri drop into the back line, allowing the wingbacks to gain even more ground on the flanks as the back three stretches into a back four, and is then able to pick them out with his passing range. These rotations...
I think I like that. Sorry, I keep stopping it. And that's why I include the link in the description so you can go and watch it uninterrupted. I'm sure Football Meta would appreciate that. But I see what it's saying. It's like when there's a back three, obviously they can't cover as much ground, but then when it becomes a back four, they can cover more ground. I think that's what's happening.
To a back four, and is then able to pick them out with his passing range. These rotations into the back line also free up the wide centre-backs to be more aggressive. For example, in this game against Union Berlin, the added cover of Amiri and Sano allowed the left centre-back to consistently be a threat in the half spaces in attack. To progress the ball, the main idea is to go through the middle. If there is space, they will play the ball directly into Burkhardt, with one holding midfielder joining the attack, leaving three options between the lines. As the ball is laid off into this position, they will shift it out wide into the wingbacks, and can now comfortably end up with at least 4 players in the box, with the other holding midfielder ready on the edge and the opposite wingback ready for any deep deliveries. If, however, this central pass is not...
So, and in this instance here...
And the opposite wingback ready for any deep delivery.
Core and Bell... Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, Core and Bell... They probably never get into the play, I'm guessing, because they're... Shoot, I don't remember the name. But obviously they're like the first line of defense going back.
Deliveries. If, however, this central pass is not...
And when I said I didn't remember the name, I meant I didn't remember what the name of the position was.
Instantly available, then progression will happen on the flanks. This is mostly facilitated by the two inside forwards, rotating out wide to receive the ball in this space. This rotation means the wingback is still pushing the defensive line back and is ready to attack forward, whilst also freeing up a space in the centre that will then be occupied by the holding midfielder or any player pushing forward. We can see an example of this rotation in this clip, with Lee shifting out wide to receive the ball and the centre back moving forward, as Sano is providing cover. As they rotate possession, it means they have 4 players ready on the defensive line that they then try to exploit with a switch in play and a ball back across the box. Most of their chances are coming from crosses or cutbacks into the box, and will pretty much cross from anywhere on the flank, quite frequently going all the way to the touchline before playing the final pass into the box. Statistically speaking, they don't excel in any one type of chance creation, but this is mostly down to the fact that they don't actually create that many chances, and are more focused on creating high quality opportunities. Whilst they rank far below the Bundesliga average for the amount of shots per game, they rank first for XG per shot, highlighting that the chances they do create are of a high quality. In fact, only 3 of their goals this season have come from outside the box. Now in this area of the pitch is where we can start to get a glimpse of their defensive mentality, and if they lose possession, an aggressive counter-press allows them to regain possession and create another quick opportunity.
Wait, I want to see that again.
Is where we can start to get a glimpse of their defensive mentality.
Okay, so I think they lose possession right here.
And if they lose possession, an aggressive counter-press allows them
attacks them
to regain possession and create another quick opportunity. The defensive mentality Henriksen has instilled into his players is what makes Mainz's story so interesting and connects all the dots as to why they find themselves in this position. So far this season, they have the second best defensive record and have the lowest XG conceded per shot, highlighting how they force the opponents to take chances from tricky positions. And it all starts from their high press. With the opposition's goalkeeper in possession, Mainz will shift to a man-oriented shape. The striker and inside forward will pick up the centre-backs, the wing-backs will push forward onto the full-backs, and the midfielders will pick up any player between the lines, with one centre-back breaking the defensive line if needed to close off any player in the centre. What makes this press work so well is down to some really effective communication in the centre, and the holding midfielder and defenders.
Man, that is so cool. So let me see.
An inside forward will pick up the centre-backs, the wing-backs will push forward onto the full.
They switch to a man. Does that mean? Well, okay, they switch to man.
Press. With the opposition's goalkeeper in possession, Mainz will shift to a man-oriented shape. The striker and inside forward will pick up the centre-backs, the wing-backs will push forward onto the full-backs, and the midfielders will pick up any player between the lines, with one centre-back breaking the defensive line if needed to close off any player in the centre. What makes this press work so well is down to some really effective communication in the centre, and the holding midfielder and defenders are smooth at changing their markings as to not be dragged out of position and to stay in their zone whilst also latching onto any player.
I just see so much my mind like basketball in here. That's totally how a man defense works in basketball. We're switching. That's what they're doing. So it's probably communication for that to switch. So I think that's great.
In their vicinity. Take this clip against Mönchengladbach. The players are man for man, but as they rotate, Mainz switch their marker to cover the zones effectively and help each other out. As Gladbach attempted to counter this, they would drag more players out wide. So the holding midfielder Sano would drop into the defensive line to pick up the striker. Meaning if play did shift out to the left, the centre-back Da Costa could move out to the winger, and the full-back was picked up by the wing-back. This type of press leads to the opposition playing countless long balls, as it's difficult for them to free a man in the centre. And from these long balls, we've already seen how dangerous Mainz can be when regaining possession in this area. If the opposition does look to build, it's usually out wide on the flanks, where again Mainz will shift to completely close down the opponents and make it difficult for them to find space away from this area. In the moments where they aren't able to win the ball back early, then they will revert to a compact 5-3-2 or 5-4-1 defensive shape. The speed at which they are able to get all their players back behind the ball is impressive, and it slows down the opponents significantly, as it means there's little time for them to attack.
Oh man, it's so great. It's like, I keep relating to basketball, sorry, but it's like a transition defense. When the other team is in transition, the first thing you do is just try and get back And if everybody touches the paint, which is what they call it, that's the key where if you don't know basketball, it's like the painted area underneath the basket. So it's almost like everybody gets back there and then builds out. So similar to that, but that's kind of what's happening here. It's like you can see that they're all getting back on defense, and now the other team has to try and set up, and it makes it more difficult to score because they don't have advantages on numbers and all of those things. So I think that's pretty cool.
Back quickly. From here, the main objective is once again to force play out wide, and they are quick to close down the opponents, not giving them any time to make a pass, and slowly pushing them back into their own half. The holding midfielders are great at absorbing any of the runs into the half spaces, meaning the wingbacks are free to be more aggressive defensively, without too much of a risk of getting caught in behind. The few goals they have conceded from open play this season have either come from the front line being a bit too aggressive and leaving big gaps in midfield, or with crosses whilst the defense is still not correctly positioned. But once the defense is in its low...
That's a fast break when they get back before the defense has time to set up. So that's kind of what happened there.
Low block, few teams have been able to make...
Let me go back.
Not correctly positioned. But once the defense is in its low block, few teams have been able to make it through.
Yeah.
The tactics used by Henriksen this season seem to follow a trend of other managers going back to this Route 1 approach. So in this week's bonus episode for YouTube members and Patreon, we're going to be taking a look at how managers are finding success without building from the back, and why it could make football even more beautiful. So if you want to check it out, you can get started with the link down below. Thanks for watching. Bo Henriksen was appointed.
Man, that was great. I can't wait to watch more of his videos. That's so awesome. Just the graphics and the explanation is super simple. He picks great examples. So, man, if you have a chance, go and subscribe to his channel just to show some support for him allowing us to make these videos here and help me learn. And hopefully there's somebody out there who's new like me and likes, the format that we're using here and help you learn too. So this is awesome. If anybody has any feedback on that, let me know, of course. And let's take a look and see what the people had to say. All right. Okay. This is what we need more in football: excitement. Seeing underdogs team doing good things. Very underrated. Bo Henriksen is the Danish special one. The way he can motivate players is unmatched. He's such a funny guy, but also a genius, unique manager. Definitely did not expect that video from an English channel after just dropping my German analysis of Henriksen's Mainz 5. All right. That was a really good video. Definitely glad that we watched it. And as always, thank you for stopping by, and we will see you on the next video. Peace.